So the Green Bay Packers lost to the New York Giants yesterday, 27-22 in London. They led by a couple of touchdowns, ended up losing the game. What I thought was really interesting about this game, and I said coming into this one, this is the battle of the 3-1 frauds. Okay, Giants fans, you have every reason to be excited today. You've got your coach. I love the Brian Daboll hiring from the beginning. I didn't like how they lowballed Brian Flores. I hated that. But with that said, I thought Brian Daboll was excellent in Buffalo as the offensive coordinator there. Really helped Josh Allen's development to a certain degree. And I thought he would do a good job in New York with the Giants. Didn't think he'd be this good this quick, especially with Daniel Jones at quarterback with that offensive line. But he has. And the Giants are sitting at 4-1. That said, New York, with all due respect, you are not a Super Bowl contender. You're not. You cannot win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Unless your defense was as good as the Cowboys defense or the Niners or the Eagles, no. You're not on that level yet. But this feels like it could be a playoff team, so we'll see where their season progresses from here. But for Green Bay, okay, you've got the edge. Obviously, you have the edge at quarterback. That goes without saying. You obviously have the edge at offensive line. You, as great as Saquon Barkley is, he's obviously the better of the three running backs if you compare him to the likes of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But if you're talking about an all-around running game, I think we take the Packers in part because of that running back tandem and their offensive line. And defensively, it feels like it's kind of on equal footing. And so games like that often get decided by coaching. And I've been saying this about the Packers all season long. We know that they're limited at wide receiver. I mean, that they lost Devontae Adams. And by the way, they also lost Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who's doing good things in Kansas City now. He'll be playing tonight. And so if you're the Packers, as a well-coached team would do, and this is why I'm giving Mike McCarthy some credit for what's going on in Dallas. To Mike McCarthy's credit, he is leaning into what the Cowboys do well. Defense, running the ball. That's what they're doing. Matt LaFleur is not. I get you got Aaron Rodgers. You got a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion. It's defense and it's run the football. And here's what I think is interesting. To me, this is always the mark of a great coach. What are you to start the game? What's your opening game plan? And coming out the half, how do you adjust? That is what has made the careers of Belichick, of Andy Reid, of Mike Tomlin, of Sean McVay, Sean Payton. This is what has made the careers of those coaches. And this is why I say it makes me sick. Any Packer game I watch and they put up Matt LaFleur's winning percentage to guys like Lombardi and John Madden, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. If you're putting that up, you're not watching the games. Because when it comes to in-game decisions, when it comes to adjustments, I've been saying this since he was hired in 2019. Matt LaFleur is a below-average coach. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's Nathaniel Hackett bad. But he's a below-average head coach. You know, I know that. The Green Bay Packers, okay, they play 5 games this season. They have scored a grand total of 20 second-half points. That is the 4th worst in the NFL. With Aaron Rodgers, with that running game. By the way, how about this? Aaron Jones leads the NFL in yards per carry. A.J. Dillon averaged 5 yards a carry yesterday, and that's around what Aaron Jones averages. So you have two guys who basically average a first down every 2 touches, and the second half, you don't get them the ball. Your only points in the second half came because the Giants literally handed you the points on the safety at the end because they were just trying to bleed some clock out. That's it. So when you're talking about a team, and you think about against the Vikings, 7 points against the Vikings in the second half. Against the Bears, 3 points. At home, at Lambeau, Sunday Night Football against the Bears, you had 3 points in the second half. Against the Buccaneers, okay, you're going against a team that is decimated at the wide receiver position. They had a couple turnovers. Tampa did. You went goose egg in the second half. Did not score a point. Actually did not score after midway through the second quarter. Last week against the New England Patriots, you're in a dogfight with Bailey Zappi. Hey, listen, Bailey Zappi looked good yesterday. We might have a quarterback controversy in New England. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Bailey Zappi, though, appears in his first NFL game. He's a raw fourth-round rookie. You're at home at Lambeau Field, and it takes a Mason Crosby walk-off field goal to beat them, to beat an average New England Patriots team. And then yesterday, double-digit lead on Daniel Jones. And when it was all said and done, when the final whistle was blown, it was Daniel Jones who had a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers and a better passer rating. We know Aaron's the king of passer rating, highest passer rating in NFL history. Daniel Jones beat him in that category. So Aaron Rodgers deserves blame. And we saw, I saw after the game, he was talking about he didn't like something Jair Alexander, the Packers star corner, said. He was talking about Jair Alexander said something along the lines of, I'm not concerned about our defense unless we win that next week. And Aaron Rodgers was like, man, we can't be talking like that. I have yet to see Aaron take 1 ounce of accountability, but that's nothing new. That's not shocking to me or any of you. But what we have to at some point wrap our arms around is that when the moment gets tight, when you need the head coach to make that call at that point in that game, Matt LaFleur's not that guy. He's not. He never has been. Never forget, he got hired by the Green Bay Packers. He was an offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. Offensive coordinator. You know where the Titans offense ranked that season? 30th. So when we put him in that category of the whizzes, like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, he's not even those guys' ballpark. He, along with Aaron Rodgers, has lost back-to-back games at home at Lambeau Field as a favorite. Numerous times, over and over, in the biggest of moments, he has struggled to make in-game decisions. He has struggled mightily to adjust. So when people act like the Packers are a Super Bowl contender, when they act like the Packers are going to win the NFC North, I laugh. Because we know the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, although Aaron hasn't played all that well this season. When we understand the limitations they have at wide receiver. When we understand the fact that their defense has not been what I thought it would be this season. They're not beating Minnesota. Minnesota has a better coach, Kevin O'Connell. Obviously, they don't have a better quarterback, Kirk Cousins, but you see Justin Jefferson yesterday? He looked pretty good, didn't he? Running game, it's equal footing. You could argue the Packers have a better running game than the Vikings do. Here, you know what the problem is? Matt LaFleur doesn't get in the ball. Up double digits. That's a time when you need to be bleeding clock. You're facing Daniel Jones. You're not facing Patrick Mahomes. This is a situation where you got to be really aggressive and trying to make plays and get into a shootout. You're playing Daniel Jones. Okay, Saquon Barkley only had 74 yards yesterday, which is pretty good for most running backs. For Saquon Barkley, who's leading the league in yards from scrimmage, that's pretty good. I think you would take that if you're the Green Bay Packers. But this is a poorly coached football team. They struggle with adjustments. They struggle in late game situations, as you saw yesterday. And they're struggling defensively. So this is why I said when I picked the Packers to win, but only by 1, just because simply Aaron Rodgers is obviously a significantly better quarterback than Daniel Jones is. But when the Vegas line said Packers -8, I'm like, they got to be out of their minds. What have you seen from the Packers this season that has made you say, oh yeah, they're an 8-point favorite over a 3-1 team on a neutral site? Like that's, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm really missing stuff with the Green Bay Packers. But even in a weak NFC that we know is not as good as the AFC. AFC is just loaded with contenders. NFC's not. You tell me they could beat Philly in a playoff game? You're telling me they could beat Dallas? They can't beat the Niners. We've seen them lose twice to the Niners. You're telling me they could beat Minnesota? I just saw what Minnesota did in week 1. Smoked them. 23-7. Okay, defense shut Green Bay down. Heck, I'm not even sure they could beat the Rams today. The Rams got all kinds of issues. So, yeah, I didn't buy into the Packers this offseason. This is one of those games you have got to win. Okay, neutral site. By the way, that sounded like Lambeau Field. There was a lot of Packers fans in London yesterday. I didn't know they had that big of a following over there. But so you sort of have a home field advantage in a weird way. Okay, you've obviously got the quarterback advantage, offensive line advantage. defense equal footing, and I think you've got the running game advantage. But the Giants, unlike the Packers, were almost flawless situationally. Packers were not. And that's what decided it. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.